Good morning and welcome to Unity Spiritual Center, Saxe, this October 17, 2021. Let's take a deep breath in together. Breathe in and exhale. Relaxing body and mind, letting go of all distractions. Mentally taking off those hats that we wear throughout the day, throughout the week. And just allowing ourselves to sink into our heart space. That place where our awareness of the divine is enhanced, where it's sharper, where we're able to hear the still small voice more clearly. Continue to breathe, knowing that we are all here today in this moment by divine appointment. Relaxing, letting go, opening up. Feeling our gratitude for community, for the opportunity to gather together in person, to join with those who are watching us remotely, knowing that we are all connected, knowing that there is no distance, no time in spirit, that no matter where we are on this planet, we are all one. We are all connected. And we are the one love, the one light, the one power and strength. We are divine intelligence itself as individual, unique expressions. Just breathe and relax. Breathe and relax. Knowing that the all-good is omniscient, omnipresent, omnipotent. The all-good stands under, stands within all things. And we have only to tap into it, to recognize it, to see it, to be aware of it. To know ourselves as the same love and peace. And so it is from this space that we now sing our centering prayer, our centering song. Together.
Loving Spirit dwells in me. This is my divinity. As within, so without. All I need is here and now. Where there's air, let me love. May I have no fear. All the power, all the glory, I surrender, let it be. Loving Spirit dwells in me, now and evermore. Loving Spirit dwells in me. This is my divinity. As within, so without. All I need is here and now. Where there's air, let me love. Spirit dwells in me, now and evermore.
Today we're going to have a special collaborative talk, so I want to introduce you to the other speakers who are joining me today. Robin Hackett, who you know, is a singer, songwriter, speaker, author, and love activist. And our other speaker today is my friend and my brother, Stephen Dunn. Stephen Dangerfield Dunn has been a member of Unity of Dallas since 2009. He currently is serving his 5th year on the executive board of directors, and he is also head of the landscape team, does many of the floral arrangements used throughout the facility, and volunteers his design skills when they are needed. He also was the one who advised us as far as the colors that are in this room, the pretty blue, and where to paint and how to paint and everything, so thank you very much, Stephen. He has been recognized as one of Dallas's leading designers by D-Home magazine for 12 consecutive years. He was also awarded first prize by the Texas Authors for his first book of poetry, Little Boy from Nowhere, Texas, and recently he proudly completed poem number 3000. Wow. His assorted books of verse are available on Amazon.com. Pete?
Good morning. Good morning. And today, join me as we bless the little children of this beautiful world. Children of light, we see you guided and directed by an inward spirit that leads you into the path that is right for you. We see you strong and whole. We see you blessed and prospered. We see you courageous and confident. We see you as the spiritually perfect beings you truly are. Children of light, we bless you. And today's inspirational moment is from The Laws of Love by Margaret Pounders, and the word is compensation. One of the hardest lessons to be learned is that we do not receive in the exact manner and time that we choose. The law of compensation is immutable, returning to us far more than we could ever hope to receive, where we allow to set our own limits. But it must work in its own way and its own time. The revealing word describes compensation as the order under which one receives remuneration. The law of compensation is universal and not subject to personal demands. If the mind is turned to man's recompensance, it is turned away from divine law. We never suffer the appearance of loss without the law of universal balance stepping in and setting straight our equilibrium. The greater the challenge, the greater the compensation. The only stipulation is that we use what we have. So join me and repeat 3 times our affirmation. The universe is bountiful and generous. I always receive far more than I give. The universe is bountiful and generous. I always receive far more than I give. The universe is bountiful and generous. I always receive far more than I give. Thank you.
not the color of my eyes. I am not the skin on the outside. I am not my age, I'm not my race. My soul inside is all I'm light. And I am light. I am light. I am divinity defined. I am the God on the inside. I am a star, a piece of it all. I am light. I am light. And I am light. I am light. When I was a young woman living in New York City, I first arrived in the city. I was around 23 or so, and I got a call from my voice teacher, and he said there's a regional theater that needs an African-American singer, and it's in Maine. And I don't know if anyone knows anything about summer stock in New York City, but that's what that was. And so I was very excited, and all I had to do was just do a cassette recording, so you know what time period we're talking, a cassette recording of myself singing. So I did, I played guitar, and I think I sang like a Janice Ian song or Joni Mitchell or something and sent it off. And they said, great, she can sing. So I went to Maine, I spent the summer there. And while I was there, I was in a particular show, and I was having a difficult time singing one of the songs where I had to belt in a particular. And the director said to me, well, just sing it like you were in church. And I said, I'm not sure what that means, sing it like I was in church, because I grew up Catholic, and so I can do some Latin for you or some hymns or whatever. But he was assuming that I went to an African-American church when I was growing up. And so that was an interesting time for me, and I was like, interesting. And I am light, I am light, and I am light, I am light, and I am light, I am light, I am light.
I came into this lifetime with no thoughts of being odd. The first child of my parents, made in the image of God. For 12 happy years, I got to be just like you. Just another little kid doing what little kids do. And then, as if overnight, many labels were placed upon my soul, ones that use words of hate that were oh so bitter and cold. Pervert, sinner, and homo, not to mention abnormal, disgusting, and queer. Things I never expected in those days, that were now filled with so much hurt and fear. I made my way through those days by trying to hide the real me, doing whatever it took, praying that one day I would be free. It took much of my life and some years of inner work to believe that I could remove each one of those labels and be who I came here to be. I've been blessed with 3 successful careers, and I'm surrounded by the most amazing friends, not to mention standing on this church stage where I have always been embraced and fit in. It is now my prayer and destiny to help others who may live in that dark place, to show them that there can be a beacon as well with no thoughts of insecurity or disgrace. I now thank God every day for this destiny and this amazing life that I have lived, always supporting me in my mission to give back what I came here to give. I am light, 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 I am light.
In the 1990s, I worked for a software company, and I did software support and technical demos. And most of the work that I did was on the telephone with clients that were all over the country. Some of them were outside of the United States. So for many years, I talked and got to know people on the phone who I never saw, and they never saw me. Probably about 5-6 years into that job, we had a users group meeting, and we invited our clients to come to the office for a week for discussion about our software, and they could ask all the questions that they wanted to ask and be hands-on. So the first day there, we're all walking around with our name tags on, and it was interesting because since nobody knew each other by sight and recognizing each other, we were listening to each other's voices and saying hello and giving each other hugs because we had really gotten to know each other. At some point during that day, a gentleman who I had talked to probably at least 4 or 5 times a week came up to me and he was staring at my name tag and he said, "Kim?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Oh my gosh, you're black." And he said it, but he stepped back, kind of horrified, and he said, I didn't know. Oh my God." And he said, "We had all these discussions. We had so much in common. I mean, we've talked about things in our families and about life, and I really thought that I knew you, but gosh." And as he talked, he continued to step away from me, and it took him about 2 days to kind of settle in. And he looked at me strangely each day because he was shocked because I didn't look the way he thought I should have looked. He said, "You were so articulate, you were so smart. And I thought you were just like me." Yes, I am light. 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 I am light.
Labels. A degrading situation contrived by man, placing people into individual groups, was never part of God's plan. Be they Asian or African, old or young, we have felt it our duty to label each and every one. Whether they're gay or transsexual or somewhere in between, just the need to divide them is both cruel and mean. Deaf or challenged or visually impaired, the way of today's world is to place you somewhere. Muslims or Christians, Catholics or Jews, if you were forced to pick just one God, would you even have a clue? Who in this crazy world ever started this silly game? Just one more insipid way to drive man insane. This crazy human addiction that should never have been condoned is simply insulting and demeaning and certifiably wrong. Red or yellow, black or white, even the choice of colors are not visually right. Labeling one another, just something that we do, and I'm still trying to decide just where to place you. Why can't we just be one? As undivided we stand. It would be our greatest achievement if we carried out God's desired plan.
I just have to comment on it. Your poems are so beautiful.
Yes.
So beautiful. I would like to get to the place where when you see somebody who is black or brown, you don't have preconceived notions of what they're capable of and who they are. You look at somebody who's black or brown and you think you know their background, and you think you know what they think, or you at least think you know what they ought to think. And that's by Condoleezza Rice. When I was a young girl, many of you don't know this, but my dad was in the military, and I spent 8 years of my childhood in Germany. And this was during the 1960s when the civil rights movement was going on. And they say between from the time that you're born to the ages till 8 are your formative years, and that's where you see how the world is and how you're going to move through the world and the impressions that you get. Well, living in Germany, I wasn't in this country, and in the military there's zero tolerance for racism. Now you might have a thought about it in your mind, but you're not allowed to say it or speak it, or you're ousted right away. That is the environment that I grew up in. So I had no sense that there was racism going on back in the United States. I had no sense of stereotypes or labels. I was actually living the military brat's life, and they call us brats for a reason. And with my family, we traveled all through Europe, had a marvelous time, had a very, very happy, but a bubble-like upbringing. Because when I came to the States, there was definitely a shock. I was a kid that believed my priest, when the priest said, "Love one another," I thought we were really supposed to do that. And my kindergarten teacher said, "Be kind." I thought we were supposed to do that. Be kind to one another. In the military life, you're living side by side, and you're actually Americans serving your country. You're actually Americans serving your country. Everyone's in the same sandbox. So when I returned to the States, I looked around and I said, "Oh, wow, there's some different sandboxes going on here." And I was not used to that. I was not used to it, and I was soon to learn and find out what racism was. I was to find out what that was, and I was an odd bird because I just had no sense of that, and people were shocked by that. They were absolutely shocked by that. I didn't fit any stereotypes, any of the labels. Here I was in the 1960s. I was a black girl playing the guitar, for one, which wasn't very common at all, not very common at all. And so people were wondering, African Americans were wondering, why do you sing that folk music? What is that you're singing? And I ended up at a school that had just only been integrated for 2 years, and this was in Virginia. And so in the hallways, I was pushed, I was bullied by people that just did not get me. The N-word was thrown around so much. And when I heard that word, and I knew it was directed at me, I would kind of go, wait, you're talking to me? Because I didn't have a relationship with that word. So that was by white people, and the black people were like, well, you're not black enough. Why do you talk the way that you talk? Don't you know how to dance? Don't you know how to speak, our language? So I had no sense of this, and the most difficult and challenging for me has always been, from both whites and blacks. Oh my gosh, you like David Cassidy and John Denver, and I'm not supposed to like that at all. So I have a story to tell, and in this story, my best friend that I met in that high school in Virginia, where I experienced all of that, she grew up in the Jim Crow South, and she told me a story of when she was 8 years old, that her grandmother bought dolls for both she and her cousin for Christmas. One was black, one was white. And when Christmas time came, my friend who's African American, she got the white doll, and her cousin got the black doll. And she said to her cousin, na, I got the prettiest doll. And she knew that her cousin felt really bad because she got the black doll that was not the pretty doll. So me, across the seas at 8 years old, I am excited because I've decided I'm going to be an actress and a singer, and I end up in a play, and I'm so excited at the local Air Force Base Community Theater. And in that play, I play an African American playmate to Helen Keller. If everyone knows who Helen Keller is? Yes, so I play her playmate. And the rest of the cast, there's one other little boy who's black, and then the rest of the cast is Caucasian. And at the end of the rehearsal, one night, the director says, hey, you guys, we need a doll to be Helen Keller, to play baby Helen when she's in the crib. If you have a doll, please bring it in. So I was like, oh my gosh, doll, I have lots of dolls. So, and I did, I had a ton of dolls. I went home and I picked out my most favorite doll and brought that doll to rehearsal. And that doll was black. But my little eyes had no idea that that doll was supposed to be white. I just had no sense of that because Helen Keller's family was white. And I just loved this doll, and I'm like, da-da-da-da-da. Now, luckily for the white people, they didn't have to say, oh, Robin, we can't use the doll because she's black. My doll was too tall to fit in the crib. So they did not have to say that at all. They just had to say that the doll was too tall. But that was my vision of the world. I had no sense at all. And that brings me to the point that racism, it's a learned behavior. It's a conditioning that's been passed down from generation to generation. And believe it or not, guess what? It's somebody else's mental construct, someone else's narrative that we've all taken on, and we keep taking it on, and we keep believing it. So I think with everything that's happened in the past year with George Floyd and all the different shootings and so forth, we're at a tipping point, and it's a time for us, and I mean all people, not just white people, so this isn't a bashing of white people. This is even for all colors, because there's a kind of colorism that happens and a subtle racism that happens even within my race. Like, as I said, I'm not black enough. I'm not up to the standards of that. So skin color, it's superficial. Am I right? Yes. It's superficial. It's not someone's resume. It's not my life story. And it doesn't define me. There's nothing that, if you just look at my skin, you cannot define me. You cannot say who I am. You cannot know where I've lived or what I've done. You just can't, unless you bring the narrative forward. So right now, we're experiencing a lot of separation, anger, fear, and hate. And at the forefront, that's all based on false negative narratives. And I cannot reiterate that it's the construct of someone's mind. They created that narrative. We get to recreate that narrative. We get to recreate that narrative. As a child, I just really just saw humanity. I did. I just saw humanity. I didn't learn skin color. I didn't learn racism. And so it's time for us to get back to our humanity and to get back to our Christ consciousness.
So what do we do with all of this? We have this social construct about race when science, DNA, proves that race is actually, and ethnicity really is insignificant. 99.9% of your DNA has absolutely nothing to do with your skin color. In fact, if you were to compare my DNA with Stephen's, we'd probably have far more in common than if you compared mine with Robin's. And yet, in this country, in this world, we've made a big deal out of what we see here on the outside. And we have decided that based upon what we look like, where we come from, who we love, that there are certain things that we must think, that we must do, the way that we carry ourselves, the way that we should speak, who we vote for, where we worship. And absolutely none of that has anything to do with reality, with who we really are. We know here in Unity that we are all one, inextricably connected. Connected by energy, because we are all energy. Science is proving that as well, that we are energetic beings. And that there is no separation amongst us, and yet we live in this world where all we do is talk about division and separateness and trying to put each other in boxes. I can't even buy a case of paper for my office at home without getting a survey from the company asking me what race I am. What difference does it make? In fact, I have stopped answering the question. And if they won't let me submit it without answering that question, I just back out of the survey altogether and don't do it at all. All I want is copy paper. The same copy paper any of you would buy. And it probably means as much to me as it does to you. As long as it goes through the printer, that's all I really care about. So what do we do, folks? How do we solve this? How do we get out of this ditch that we have driven ourselves into and almost pulled the dirt over us and rolled over dead in it? It seems like it's impossible to solve. And yet, if Jesus is truly our brother and way shower, that is, I believe, where we look for the answers. Every single time Jesus ran into a situation that needed to be solved, he looked up, invoking higher consciousness, and for him, he always said, I and the Father are one. And he invoked his divinity, and from there solved his problems, helped the blind to see, fed the 5,000, turned water into wine. He always invoked his divinity, his oneness with spirit, the oneness that we all are. And yet, this exterior that we see seems to govern every single thing that we want to do in this country. And even if we say that we have no biases, we do, because we grow up hearing messages and being around people who don't know about oneness and who invoke just the opposite. And so those things are always in our brains, whether we acknowledge them or not. And I believe as long as we continue to invoke our divinity, that we see for ourselves that yes, we are this love energy, then it is possible for each of us to see only love energy when we look at each other.
Yes.
To see love energy. And to be with each other, talk with each other, gather with each other as love energy. love energy. And so when we get into those situations where we're not sure what to do, when you think, because somebody who doesn't look like you walked into the room, and you think perhaps you have to do something extra to make them feel comfortable, really, it's ourselves that are uncomfortable. We're the ones who are uncomfortable. And so we need to start right here. Right here in our own consciousness about love and energy. Knowing who we are, knowing what we are, and from there, welcoming everyone in as love energy. Letting go of the labels. I'm not just a black female. I'm Kim. Simply Kim. And that's how I want to be welcomed anywhere I go. Anywhere I go. Because the black female part of me is a minuscule part of me. Minuscule. And as I step into the world as Kim, being barraged as just a black female seems so short-sighted to me. So short-sighted. In fact, I'm usually shocked because I step into the world just wanting love energy and accepting others as love energy. And so I see love energy everywhere that I go. And when I'm struggling, I invoke that divinity. And I ask my divine self, how do I show up here now? And the answer always is more love. More love. What if we in this country showed up as love more often? What if we let people know, what if we let the powers that be know that we're tired of the labels, that we're tired of the boxes, that we are so much more than the boxes and the labels? So much more than the boxes and labels. In fact, how about if there are no boxes and labels? What if we just step into the world as love? What if we just step into the world as love? So those of us who know, the onus is on us. That when we hear something other than love, when we see something other than love, if you're not in this situation, perhaps you're watching TV or something's on social media, that you immediately, in the place that you are, invoke divinity. Your divinity and the divinity of the person who is speaking. Or you're reading their post on social media, or you're watching the news and something horrific is happening. You can be the love there in that situation and be thousands of miles away. Love's a cure. We can make labels, we can make boxes irrelevant. We can decide that we don't want to be in the boxes. And just be love. Just be love. Just be love.
So this song I'm going to sing, I've sung here many times before, but I just do want to share with you that I hadn't written anything in a long time, and I sat down one evening and said, what's the message, Spirit, that needs to go out into the world? I do believe that this has been my message since I was a child. We are all just mirrors in your faces. I see clearer, clearer than I've ever seen before. is where to live from. To give all you can give from. This is what I truly know for sure. Love is what we're here for. To give and give more. Love. Is what we're here for. To give and give more.
I'm tired of all this anger, of my own kind behavior. Who am I to judge anyone at all? 'Cause when I look into you, I've seen the pain you've been through. And I know 'cause I've felt the same pain too. And love is what we're here for. To give and give more. Love. Yes, love is what we're here for. To give and give more. Love, 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 love. Love, 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 Let's take this into meditation. Breathing in love, breathing in love, breathing in love. Loving energy that we all are. Each person, no matter where we come from, no matter where we worship, no matter who we love, no matter who we vote for, no matter what we believe, no matter, no matter, no matter. So we breathe into love here, right now, in this place, knowing we are inextricably connected to every other being on this planet. Connected as love, as peace, as light. Each of us a beam of light. And together, interwoven into this beautiful tapestry that we call life, we express our divinity here on this planet. Each of us called to do work that only we can do, that no one else can do quite like us. Each beam of light is needed. Each beam of light is treasured. Each beam of light is love. And so here and now we breathe in this love, knowing that it heals all things, that it harmonizes, that it unifies, that it breathes and lives through each one of us, that same love, that same light. love, and light. That's all there is. That's all there is. Love, love, love. And so in these next few moments, let us just be together in our thoughts, beaming love through every cell of our bodies and out into the world and around this planet and into the cosmos. Let's take a deep breath together. Breathe in and exhale. One more time. Inhale. Hold it at the top. Exhale. Only love. Only light.
I am an instrument of my peace. I am an instrument of my love, 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 love. I am an instrument of my peace. I am an instrument of my love, 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 love. I am an instrument of my peace. I am an instrument of my love, 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 love. And I am an instrument of my peace. I am an instrument of my love. I say love, I say love, oh sweet love. I am an instrument of my peace. I say I am an instrument of my love. I say love, 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 love. I say love, 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 and love is what we're here for. To give and give more, more love. Love is what we're here for. To give and give more. Oh, sweet love, 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 love.
All right, let's do it again. Take it one more time.
So if you would like to help spread a message of love, more love, less labels, there's a sign-up sheet on the table out front where you can order a t-shirt if you would like. And let's send this message as far as we can around the world. Less labels, more love. More love, more love. Let's take this loving, powerful energy into our offertory, knowing that this source, this all good, is bountiful, is infinite, is everlasting. And so now we recite together our celebration of giving.
Divine right has me, blesses and multiplies all the good that I am and have, all the good that I give and receive, and so it is.
My guitar's a little wonky today, but I'll sing through it. That's painful. I'm going to tune it. Today I saw the sun. I stood out in the rain and I watched the eagle fly again. I heard a baby cry and I walked right through a storm and felt the wind upon my face. All the while I could not help but see the life that lives and breathes in you and me. And I'm peaceful, yes, and I'm grateful, and I'm thankful, Lord. Yes, I am, and I'm hopeful, yeah. And I am so full, and I'm thankful, oh, I am. I heard that old oak tree, the earth beneath my feet, and saw a shooting star above. I looked into your eyes and touched an open heart and fell into a whole lot of love. All the while I could not help but see the life that lives and breathes in you and me. And I'm peaceful, yes, and I'm grateful, and I'm thankful, Lord. Yes, I am, and I'm hopeful, yeah, and I am so full, and I'm thankful, oh, I am so peaceful, yes, I'm grateful, I'm thankful, oh, yes I am. I'm hopeful, yes, and I'm so full, and I'm thankful, oh, I am, and I'm thankful, oh, I am, yes I am, so grateful, so hopeful, so thankful, so peaceful. Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
So let's bless our offering. We are deeply grateful for all the time, treasure, and talent that flows so freely into this community. enabling us to do the work that we are called to do here and around the world, spreading a message of peace, love, joy, unity, and harmony. Amen. And so now also, before we move into announcements, let's lift the names of those that we want to pray for today.
Sherry, Marilyn,
For Magna, and for her husband and children, for Cheryl, for Jerry, so for all of these souls that we have named and all those who are unnamed in this moment, but who are in our hearts and our minds throughout our days and our weeks, we know that they are whole, perfect, and complete. In the same light and love that we are, they are too, and that they are divine expressions. And they have the healing intelligence working within them right now in their lives. And for all this, the love that we are, the light that we are, and the all good of this universe, we say thank you and amen. So we just have one announcement today. Jan, can we have that slide, Quentin, please?
So your Board of Trustees has been busy preparing an emergency. Thank you. Preparing an emergency preparedness plan that will be rolling out to the whole congregation later, but first we need to be trained on it. So we are, as a part of this, going to ask you if you're interested and willing to donate to emergency supplies. And part of the things that we need are blankets or quilts and some towels, both bath size and hand towels. Now you may wonder why on earth we're asking for those. We're not going to have a sleepover or something like that. Hopefully we're not going to have a sleepover. I don't know. Can we have music? We might. So actually the main reason for the blankets and quilts is in the case of a tornado. That's something that you can put over heads and add a little bit of protection to things that might be flying around. We don't have a lot of safe space in this facility, so that could be very helpful. In the case of the towels, which might be helpful in that as well, but especially if we have some cut or that kind of injury, maybe even an illness, that it would be helpful to have them to help clean up. In the case of flooding, if a pipe breaks or something, it would help to have a lot of towels around. And if in the case of a chemical spill, because we are very close to a railroad track and a highway, both of which transport hazardous materials, but it could be very helpful to have something like the hand towels or to even put over our faces as we're exiting according to the instructions we've been given on where to go. So if you could please bring those things, we will have a place to store them here, and we will be taking those donations through the month of October and November. Thank you.
Now, mission and vision, Fred?
You got to say a story first.
I was so mesmerized. No, usually I do, but I won't today because the speakers were so eloquent. I'm tingling. So our mission and vision statement. We are Unity Spiritual Center Saxe. We're a thriving global community of spiritual seekers transforming lives through love and the expression of our innately divine gifts. singer emeritus. No, that's a dead person, right? Our singer, I'm sorry, our resident singer. And as usual, Kim, for all of the time and talent that you've brought to us. This is really
And if we've rendered Fred speechless and he didn't have a story, then man, we did. I'm going to get a diary and write that in there. Be the peace you want to see. Share your peace with everyone you meet. Let it begin. Let it begin. Let it begin with you. And share the joy you want to see. Share your joy with everyone you meet. Let it begin. Let it begin. Let it begin with you. Share the love you want to see. Share your love with everyone you meet. Let it begin. Let it begin. Let it begin with you. Be the peace. Be the joy, be the love, and let it begin, let it begin, let it begin with you and me. Thank you very, very much for being here with us this Sunday. You're the love and light that we need in this world. Go out and shine that love and that light everywhere you can. Namaste. Have a glorious Sunday.